Hi guys, I decided to do my second career profile on a military family life counselor. This is personally my dream job. I don't know if I'll ever get there, but ideally, this is what I would like to do with the degree after I finish a master's degree. So, um, I used an organization of Navy, Fleet, and Family so this life counselor job is open for families in the Navy. Um, Typically, they are military family life counselors or MFLEC counselors are employed by private companies. They're not actually military personnel. They're civilians. And they're either employed by private companies or by the Department of Defense, depending on who's got the job openings. And their hours are set by patients. It's kind of a go with the flow type job. Whenever clients or patients need you, you're supposed to be there. And you have to be really flexible with this type of a job because a lot of them specialize in deployment, pre-deployment, and post-deployment counseling with families and soldiers with PTSD or reintegration problems when they come back with their families. So it's the hours can be flexible, but they can also be really demanding, which is one of the typical stressors of being an MFLEC counselor. And a lot of one of the big stressors, though, is dealing with high risk families and potentially dangerous situations when you are dealing with soldiers who have just come back from the Middle East or are treating or self medicating for PTSD. The military also has a higher percentage of child abuse and spousal abuse than the norm. And so a lot of that comes with the territory. And it's not a fun thing to manage all this reporting and managing of child abuse. You're also subject to the long hours, but you're also subject to consulting with Soldiers Command, which can be a intimidating thing to do when dealing with the chain of command and discipline of a soldier. Benefit wise, it's a good job. Usually you have full benefits for the counselors provided by the small companies or the Department of the Defense that they work with. So common job tasks: meet confidentially with service members and their families. We have MFLEC counselors everywhere at both the bases we've been stationed at, and they actually don't keep, unless there is a really serious problem like child or spousal abuse. They actually don't keep any records unless you are sent to one by your command. So you can go in and see them, and everything is confidential. They don't even open a file on you. They also provide education services for families. They teach a lot of the classes, a lot of parenting classes, marriage classes, and the marriage retreats that the military sponsors. They will help at clinics or with behavioral health in maintaining their records, since they are qualified to do that, since the military is always short-staffed in those areas. And there's MFLEC counselors at all the military schools to help provide risk assessment and intervention plans for at-risk children or children with behavioral problems from moving so often. And then they also assist in child abuse cases, writing reports on those, depending on how they find out about the child abuse, who they report that through the schools, through the military police, They're responsible for all those reports as well. There are several educational requirements for becoming an MFLEC counselor. You need at least a master's degree, a minimum of a master's degree in social work or family studies. You also need unrestricted licenses to practice counseling privately. So you must be a licensed private counselor, not just have a master's degree. You also have to have 2 years postmaster level supervised clinical practice. And you must meet the board's ethical requirements. And depending on the station that you're at, which base you're at, you could require 2 years prior work with child abuse and domestic violence victims. And that's all just depends on who employs you and what the base is looking for specifically. The starting salary is usually around $35,000 a year, and experience salary is between $55,000 to $65,000. Counselors are stationed like soldiers are. They are at every base, and there's usually one in every unit that's deploying. They call it being embedded. So you're there for that specific unit for the year that the soldiers are gone. So it's kind of a neat job opportunity. You get to see the world. We're stationed in Germany right now, and I've met more military life counselors than I can count, and we're at a small base in Germany. So you get to travel and see different parts of the world or the country if you want to stay in the U.S. And so that's definitely a perk to being a military family life counselor. Thanks.